Been getting a heap of questions from people about the journey, how we did it. So I thought I'd do a bit of a Q&A episode on a bunch of questions I've been receiving. Also asked on my different social media channels some questions that people wanted to know, perhaps about the process, how we did it, and everything else. So here's a video of just answering some questions that you guys had, and hopefully it helps. I know I'm early on in the YouTube kind of documenting process, but it's really shocked me how many people and how engaged people have been, which is awesome, giving me some great advice. So I just want to make a bit of an effort on creating a community of maybe getting to know me a little bit more, our process, our journey, how we're doing, some surprises, some scary things perhaps, big updates. I just thought I'd try and share as much as I can. And there's been a lot of people just saying how they'd love to do what we've done. So hopefully just our experience and things that we've gone through might help you out and potentially, hopefully, do what we've done and have your own journey. So I've got a heap of questions on my phone here that people have asked, and I've tried to organise it in order of, I guess, the journey. So here we go. So starting off with, I guess the first one is, why did we move? This hopefully doesn't take too long, but there's a lot of pieces in here. Perhaps to start off with, Jade and I have wanted to have our own piece of land for probably 10 years. Ever since we kind of met, we've always said, imagine if we could have our own property, and that'd be so cool. We go as far as about just before we had our first child, we actually bought a tiny house trailer. I think like most people, we loved that Bryce's channel, Living Big in a Tiny House YouTube channel, consumed all the videos, and we were sold. We desperately wanted to do it. I think we paid like $8,000 for this big 8 or 10 meter trailer, and we're about to start building. But when push come to shove, we just realised that we were still effectively going to be in the same position we were renting, and having spent whether it was 80 grand, 100 grand down the line, and still be stuck and still feel like we don't really own anything. So we put that on the back burner, and some events happened with my business at the time, e-commerce, and we had a really good year, and we sold the trailer to use the money to help come up with a deposit. So we just didn't think after that it was going to be possible for a long time. Like 6 months ago, for about two years, we were really struggling financially. Me being a software business owner in a startup. So we're like in the startup phase, meaning, we're starting from the ground up. It's very hard to start a startup company. For about 18 months, I was working 2 or 3 jobs. I was working at 2 a.m. in the morning, getting up at 1:30 in the morning, delivering bread around the Gold Coast till about 9 a.m, 10 a.m, and then going straight to the office, doing my own business full time, and then trying to go home with the kids and be a dad and husband, etc. So we really sacrificed to be able to try and get here. But we just found that we were working more than we ever had in our lives. The living expenses and the cost of living was just getting unbearable. Something had to change, and a little plant was seeded in our heads about 12 plus months ago. Maybe we can sell a house and look at downsizing, or even trying to be mortgage free. And we did try that for a long time. Put offers on properties, and just started to realise from looking extensively that being mortgage free wasn't really going to be a possibility unless we wanted to move like 4 hours west. Or financially, it was a big financial move as well for us. Like, we've got, you know, so much more than we ever had in suburbia, and it's significantly downsized our mortgage. Jade can work less. I can focus full time on the business and even do content like this. Just stuff we've always wanted to do and just didn't think it'd be possible until I guess the moment come up. Fully aware that some people might not have a house to be able to sell. We were lucky enough to have bought before COVID in Robina. You see that kangaroo just jump past, or wallaby? And we've done quite well in the market. So that made doing it, like, I guess, possible. So really grateful for that. What was the process like? Now, it wasn't easy. It was really, really stressful. And I think on the first video, I kind of highlight some of the stages of what happened. But basically, we decided, okay, it's something we really wanted to do. And it was a big motivator was, like I just said, financially. So we weren't in a position to buy anything until we'd sold our house. So we had to put offers on properties subject to sale of our house. And that meant we missed out on a lot of properties that we tried to buy and we loved. And we just had to keep pushing and finding a property or a potential owner that was selling, that was willing to give us a shot of putting in an offer subject to sale and willing to be, I guess, patient with us. So we'd put in 3 offers before we found this one, and we were neck and neck with other buyers. But because of that condition, subject to sale, just meant that we missed out on those 3. Kind of a blessing in disguise, because up until this was the only house that we had found and made an offer on. All the other places were actually shed houses, so they weren't actually classed as houses. They were a shed that had been converted into a house, which meant we didn't necessarily care, but we were just thinking down the line, you're probably not going to get that resale value, because you're then still effectively just selling vacant land. That's how they kind of had to position it, even though you're basically moving in. And there's so many properties around Australia that do live in sheds, which is fine, and they were beautiful. We got our offer accepted on this, and that was a process in of itself. We come to the first open house here and put our offer on the very next day. He then had like 4 more open houses, which we just had to wait, and we still continued to show off and say, hey, we're really interested. And he didn't want to really negotiate or entertain our offer until he kind of realised, oh, it doesn't look like I'm going to get any more offers here. And then he finally started to negotiate. So then they accepted our offer, and then we had to put our house on the market. Our neighbour luckily was our agent, so she could be patient with us, and we had everything ready to go up until we had the offer accepted here, meaning we didn't have to pay any money for the marketing, etc., and the real estate costs. We then put our place in the market. It's a popular suburb on the Gold Coast, so we're lucky that there was a lot of potential buyers. And we managed to get an offer that we accepted within about 6 days. And they had really good terms. So they were basically, the bank was already approved, they had their money ready, they wanted an early settlement, and we pushed everything forward. So that was a process. It was really stressful. Things I'm forgetting, like building and pests, things come up and you have to deal with, and solicitors and things you just forget about. and processes that you can't get started on until one of the other things happen. So it's like this domino effect. I can't do this until this is done, and you just feel so helpless. But we just kept telling ourselves it's not going to happen if we don't try. We've just got to put ourselves out there and see if we can make it happen. It's kind of out of our hands. We can only do as much as we can. Let's just give it a go. And that's what we did. And luckily everything kind of fell into place. And there was a lot of things that we had to do, and there was hurdles, and you just have to kind of deal with each thing as it comes up. And yeah, it was super stressful. It's not like it was an easy process, but happy we did it. Where is the property located? Get this question a lot. People think it's northern New South Wales. It's not. We're in the scenic rim. So we're about 35 minutes west of the Gold Coast. So it's like we feel like we're like in another world here, which is amazing. It's so peaceful, so quiet. But luckily we are at, a short drive into everything that we need if we need to go into town. By chance, this was actually the closest property that we found and looked at. And honestly, we looked at hundreds of properties. We were on realestate.com like 1,000 times a day. It was quite sick. How big is the property? We're on just over 2 acres here, which is more than enough for us at the moment anyway. Who knows in the future. But we've got quite a lot of plans to make it a pretty productive 2 acres and more than enough for me at the moment to manage and take care of. What about the kids? Where will your kids go to school, and did you have to pull them out of school? This is also another really popular question. We actually homeschool, and something we did when we lived on the Gold Coast, personal thing for us, we're not really fond of kind of what's happening in the schooling system. I personally really loved school growing up as a kid, and that was like a big mindset shift for me. I thought my kids were going to miss out on all the things that I experienced, but obviously grew up in a bit of a different time. And we figured the more I started, learning about homeschooling and looking into it and hearing, the research that Jade was doing, the more I really started to resonate with it and figured it's quite difficult to send your kids to school and then pull them out and take them out of the system. There's a lot of steps there and it can be quite difficult. So we figured, let's try homeschooling first, and if we suck at it, fail, hate it, the kids hate it, we can always enroll them into school afterwards. There's actually a really small and seems like a really great school here in our suburb where we live. So if we have to, we can send the kids there. But at the moment, it's going really well. We use a program called Yuka, so it's online, gives us all the curriculum and guides us through what we have to teach the kids. And I think, it's working really well for us. We moved out here on a homestead, so it kind of suits the kids. We're trying to give them other experiences and really guide and be guided by them too. What are they passionate about, and let's focus on that sort of stuff. For example, my son is really artistic and really loves drawing, so we do a lot of that kind of stuff and try and fuel his passion, and it might change next week. But at least we have the structure of the homeschooling programs, and it's getting so popular actually. Like I was personally really surprised how popular it is. And one of the biggest questions people have is when they find out we're homeschooling, everyone's really interested. So I think a lot of people are actually more interested than you realise. But there's a lot of homeschooling groups, and there's no shortage of interaction with kids and different homeschooling groups. They're everywhere, especially on the Gold Coast. and surrounding areas. So yeah, what has been the biggest adjustment so far? Now this one's been a big one, bit of a culture shock for us, so I thought I'd stand in front of it. And that's that thing there, and that's water. We were super surprised about how much water we used being in suburbia, and we took that for granted so badly. So moving here, we're completely on tank water. We won't have any services here. So we just absolutely ran through our water so quickly. We haven't had to get a water truck here yet, thankfully. We had some rain, but we really had to dial back our water usage, and it's made us super conscious of, I guess, the resources that we use every day and how valuable they are. We have a couple of plans. Obviously we need more water storage, so we're gonna get some more tanks. That's one solution. There's a lot of properties here that have drilled a bore, so they actually have their own like water on tap. So you drill down and you tap into, I guess, a water reserve, and then you can pump that up and use it. So it is quite expensive, so we're trying to find some quotes, etc. And you're not guaranteed to hit it, but our neighbours all have bores, not all of them, but a lot of them do, and they drink it. We've got a water filter system which would make it all drinkable and safe. So yeah, definitely been the biggest shock and adjustment so far is just the water usage and how much we chewed through it. Was it hard to leave our old life behind? It actually really was. We, shout out to our old neighbours, we were really, really close. We lived in a cul-de-sac on the Gold Coast. We had neighbours that had kids the same ages as our kids, and it was honestly awesome and really, really hard to say goodbye to. It's not a lot of people lucky enough to build like a little community like that. Our other neighbours, you know, our kids adored. We went camping together. We were really close, so that was super hard. Moving day, like, yeah, there was tears, and it was difficult, but we caught up last weekend. We all had lunch together and it was awesome. Nothing changed. We're all great friends and we'll continue to catch up. But that was one of the harder things to do. And I guess just a lot of unknowns. Like, although we love the idea of it, like it's very different to actually doing it. And I guess you doubt yourself, am I gonna like it? Am I not? So that was hard, definitely. Me being in business and in software, that was also another thing that probably stopped me from doing it for at least six months, I think, because I just thought, well, I'm in software, you know, I can't live in the country. How am I going to do this? But yeah, so that was another hard thing. It's a big move too, financially. How do you move back into the Gold Coast? Probably can't unless we do some major improvements in this and increase the worth of it. So yeah, it wasn't easy. It was definitely hard saying goodbye to our old life. What has been the biggest improvements to the property so far? These ones might be boring, but the day we moved in, we installed a water filtration system. That was was Jade's kind of caveats of moving here. She wanted, because we were on tank water, she wanted to ensure that our water was completely safe to drink and healthier than, I guess, city water. So that was quite expensive. I think all up was about $4,000, including like getting the tanks cleaned, etc., because they were very, very dirty and not looked after. So that was, from day one, a big improvement. The other one was just as expensive, was the new carpets. As you can see from one of the other videos, we had to rip up the old carpets. They were completely filled with mold and dirt and gross. And we decided to changing this lifestyle. We want everything, or as much as we can, to be natural, organic, and I guess friendly to us and our kids. And we chose to go with natural wool carpet, and that comes at a premium. I nearly died when Jay told me the price, but it's beautiful, and hopefully we're only going to do the carpet once, so that's what we decided to do, and that was one of the bigger ones. What are the next big projects? One coming up, hopefully the week after next, is we're going to be doing our driveway, and let's go for a walk and I'll show you the size of our driveway. So you can see behind me, the driveway is bloody big, and it wraps around our cul-de-sac. It wraps around our carport as well, so it doesn't finish here, it keeps going. So that's going to be the biggest upgrades we've done, definitely financially as well. But we have to do it because when it rains, like, anyone not in the full drive just gets bogged and stuck and can't really get up here. So if we want to make further improvements and get services and trades in here, we definitely need a driveway that people can get in. But other projects, definitely going to be the garden. I'm probably going to do a separate video on this. Well, I'm definitely going to do another video on it. I haven't started the garden on purpose yet because I'm actually going to plan on potentially doubling the size. I've had a lot of comments from you guys just suggesting to increase the size, and I figured before I start gardening and get started, why not I set it up a little bit better for feeding the family and getting as much food in the ground as possible. So I think I'd essentially missed the winter period anyway, I think, and I'm going to just get it started for the next growing season and have some plans. So the garden fenced area is going to look a lot different, a lot bigger, and hopefully a lot better suited for our needs. Let's take a moment for that skyline. Look how amazing that looks. It's like all pink. Wow. What's the long-term plan for the property? That's a good question. Now, basically, it's to be as self-sustainable as possible. We know it's going to take a lot of time, investment to get everything set up, but the plan is to be able to eat as much food from our land, so we know where it comes from and we know the quality, and to reduce costs as possible. So that means fruit, veg, possibly animals. You know, we've got the chickens now, we can look at other stuff as well. And just to be completely set up, I want to create this like paradise here, that there's all these fun things to do, that there's obviously we're set up with food, etc., but there's also for the kids that they don't want to go. Like we've got bikes, we've got, you know, all the cool stuff. That is my dream. I'd love for the kids to bring all their friends here and be the place for all their friends and stuff to hang out. But yeah, just a proper, nice family homestead that is set up for our lives. Do we plan on building any new structures? Yes, for sure. Not sure exactly on the timeline. As I said, we're going to extend and add on to the garden there for the veggie garden. There's also the concrete pad up here. I would love to put like a greenhouse on, like a really cool, nice one with all the windows. That'd be great. And I'm going to do a property tour, hopefully the video after this one. And in the front paddock that we have, we're actually thinking about Airbnb or a structure there, so we can try and make money from the property as well, and just helps financially and makes this place more sustainable for us. Other kind of seeding areas and you know, planting vertical gardens, and yeah, we've definitely got a lot of plans. Look at that again. What am I planning to grow first? So I think the next growing season is going to be spring, which is exciting. I'm hopefully just going to grow all of the foods that we will typically eat to try and get the most out of, I guess, financially, save the most money, and just see what grows, what I kill, and just see how it goes. I've never grown any veggies or anything before. I'm surprised the fruit trees are still standing at the moment. So it's going to be a super big learning curve for me, but really excited to give it a go. Will you be traditionally gardening or doing no dig? Now, I think I've said this multiple times that I really want to do the no dig gardening that I've learnt from Charles Dowding. I'll tag him in the description below. But he basically got me into gardening and reignited this idea of buying a property. So ever since I've seen his content, I've really wanted to do what he's done or give it a go. I think he's proven the tilling and traditional style of gardening compared to his no dig. The no dig outperforms traditional all the time. I don't want to get into politics about gardening because, again, I have no idea, no experience, but that's just what I've seen. So something that I really want to have a go at and see how it go. So I'll be putting in really high quality compost in, so it's not going to damage or hurt the soil that I have here. Been told that the soil's really good here. It's a red soil, so I think it can only help. Already growing on the property. So we're really lucky to have inherited some pretty good established fruit trees already. So there's about 10 to 11 variations, I think. I'm going to forget a few. We've got a huge chestnut tree. There's mulberries, lemon, lime, orange, mandarin, Brazilian cherry, white mulberries. I've planted different citruses like Tangelo and blood orange, as well as lychee. We've got some finger limes going, and we've actually got a couple of avocado trees down at the front. There's passion fruit vines. So hopefully come springtime, it's going to be booming with all that sort of stuff. I'm really excited to see what else is going to pop up, because there's a lot of trees around that we're suspicious are fruit trees and going to bear some fruit. We didn't want to chop them down just in case, so we're going to see kind of what comes about and go from there. But we're also going to be obviously planting extensively and adding to it as soon as possible. Will you be getting any animals soon? Yes. As you know, we've got chickens already. Started with 5, we've now got more. I think we have 8 or 9 in total. So we've got chickens. I think that's a really good start. Even just our dog, we only got our dog a couple of weeks ago back from Jade's parents. They were looking after her just while we got settled. So as much as we'd love to go nuts and get more animals, I think we just need to settle and find our feet a little bit more first. The chickens are a great start. We have another project that I actually have here that I'm really excited to tell you about, but I'll keep it a secret for now. Which is really exciting. But yeah, we're tossing up, you know, whether we get goats in the future, maybe a milk cow, dairy cow. There's obviously, when you've got the land, there's a lot more opportunities and a lot more possibilities. But we don't have tens of acres. You know, we have just over 2, so we can't have cattle, which would be awesome. But yeah, starting small. Another really popular question I get asked all the time is, what do I do for work and how is this possible with work-wise and making money? I have a software company. It's a startup, so I work from home. We got Starlink, which has been amazing, and Jade still works 2 days a week at her old job back on the Gold Coast. She travels 2 days. She was working, like I said before, we're working as much as we have in our lives, 4, 5, 6 shifts a week she was doing, and they were quite long hours. So doing this has enabled her to go to two days a week. I have the kids when Jade's working, so we homeschool, and I do what we can there with fitting in my work at the same time as having the kids. So we definitely tried to, I guess, make work kind of fit into the lifestyle we want to live, and just try and make it work. There's been a lot of sacrifices in doing so, but we try and live within our means and budget and do what we have to kind of get by and put food on the table. How do you balance tech or software with homesteading? It's an obvious huge contrast, completely different worlds. And I really love that. I love the challenge of trying to build a tech software company while living in the country and more of a simpler lifestyle. I love the contrast of both worlds there, and find it like just a really interesting challenge to try and to do both at the same time. Do you plan on creating income from the homestead? That's a cool, interesting question. And short answer, yes, I think we will. I think the initially, first 12 months is about just getting set up, about growing our own food, getting some infrastructure in here and finding our feet. But then, like I said before, having the land and stuff opens you up to different opportunities, and trying to make some money from the land and the opportunities we have here, for sure. I think you'd be silly not to. I think you do have to be smart about it though, and making sure that you just don't give yourself another full-time job, that you might need to niche down or be really specific, or do kind of like bespoke, handcrafted kind of stuff if possible, if that makes sense, and try and get that premium rather than trying to compete with volume, because I just don't think you can do that. But yeah, I think we most definitely will try and do some things. Even just trying to get chickens, like it is so expensive at the moment and really, really hard to get chickens. It's kind of made us think, oh, maybe there's an opportunity there in breeding chickens perhaps. Thought I'd chill out with Bailey to answer the rest of these questions. So, hey Bailey. She's pretty old now. Jade, whenever you ask Jade, how old's Bailey? She always says, oh, I don't know, 12? She's been saying that for the last 7 years. So yes, Bailey's a little cutie. Questions around YouTube. But why did I create the channel? So obviously it's content that I want to create. I find it really interesting. It's a really cool log of our life in the next few years, and the, I guess, transformation we're going to do here. And I also see it as a potential income opportunity, being here and growing a YouTube channel and trying to partner with brands, etc. I find it as a really interesting channel in business, and my company is actually for B2B creators and influencers for business to business opportunities. So it's really interesting for me to put, I guess, myself within a creator's, I guess, shoes, and it's made me learn a lot and realize a lot of things. So it's actually been like a bit of a self-development thing for me as well. I'm really enjoying the process of creating videos and coming up with episode ideas, and been a big learning curve and a lot to go, obviously. But I've actually really enjoyed the journey so far. What gear do I use to film my content? So I only have the one camera. My first ever episode was just using my iPhone and just the microphone with the iPhone. You could probably tell a little bit now looking back at the content, like the difference. After that, I went and got, it's called the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. It's really good for vlogging. You can hold it really easily, and it's got like a gimbal kind of thing on the top of it and can follow you. You can face track, but it's just really, really simple to use and really fast. I don't really edit. Well, I don't edit my videos, so all I do is just cut bits out, and I find the quality really good and better than I thought I'd be able to produce anyway. So that is gear. And then with the DJI Pocket 3, you can buy a combo. It's called the Creator Combo, and that comes with a microphone and some other lenses that I haven't bothered using. But just with the microphone, all you do is turn it on and it pairs instantly with the actual camera. So it's actually like nearly foolproof. So I've really enjoyed using it, and I'd recommend it to anyone that wants to do some vlog style content. It's really good. How do I find time to make the videos? That is a bit tricky. I do mostly film all the videos of the weekends. So I try and dedicate obviously the week for my business and for the family. I might do a little bits and pieces of an afternoon, which is quite rare actually. And then maybe it's really only like one day of the weekend am I kind of filming, try and come up with an episode idea and then just plan and shoot it, and then edit that night or one day over the weekend. Initially I had like a couple of episodes like in front, which was really nice, but some things happened and I had to play catch up. So I am actually trying to upload more videos each week. So I'm going to try and do 2 per week. I've got a goal to try and be monetized as soon as possible. And that means I now need to get my watch hours up as much as I can. Just a little goal. Like I find if I have a goal for stuff, I'm more motivated and it's easier for me to actually do it rather than just doing it willy-nilly. So I've made that a goal, and I'll try and release maybe 2 videos a week, and just try different types of content as well. There's a couple more questions, guys, but I don't want to bore you with me rambling on any longer. I'll try and do these every now and then. Like I said, I want to try and build a community. I want to answer the questions and stuff that you guys are asking me and leaving in the comments. I truly appreciate the engagement and you guys commenting on my stuff and giving me advice and tips. I'm very open, and obviously it's the whole part of this journey of mine is learning as I go and not knowing exactly what I'm doing here on the property and learning all the jobs. So I really appreciate, and the things you're recommending I'm Googling and I'm buying or looking into. So it's super helpful, so don't stop, keep giving me advice. I really appreciate already the small community that is forming. So I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully it's helped someone, or just a little bit more insight into what we're doing and our goals and what we're trying to do here. So thanks for watching.